Perception becomes reality. Why? Well, I think that happens in many instances because a lot of times people will say things, they'll do things, they'll tell you that this is what they're all about, this is what they want, and then their actions suggest otherwise. So their actions really gives you an indication or perception of what their true motives are and what they really want to do. And oftentimes it contradicts what they said prior, and things can change based on series of events that occur, and that could change their mind. Or they could just be saying something prior and not really believing or meaning what they said, and just saying it for the sake of saying it, to be politically correct or what have you. So if we really don't know what's inside a person, all we can do is look at their actions and listen to their words, and we have to basically create our own reality through perception. And we're getting that perception from that person. So we have to look at this Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder situation. Nobody really knows what's inside Anthony Joshua's mind, or what he wants to do, really. Like, we don't know his intestinal fortitude. We don't know his character deep down inside. You have to be put in certain situations, and when you're put in certain situations, that's when you reveal your true character. Now, he showed a lot of heart in getting up against Klitschko in a situation where it looked like he may not be able to continue. So that shows character. That shows heart. So we've seen it exhibited in that instance. Just like Victor Ortiz showed heart against Andre Berto in a fight where he went down a couple times, Andre Berto went down a couple times, and he was able to gut it out and win a decision against Andre Berto, where in the past his heart and his resolve was questioned in other fights, particularly against Josecito Lopez and Marcos Maidana. So sometimes people can show heart in one instance and then have their heart questioned in another instance. Now, I'm not a professional fighter. I don't do what a professional fighter does. I can't do what a professional fighter does. So for me to sit there and question someone's heart or call someone a coward, I don't think I'm qualified to do that. But in the same token, I have to take a person at face value, and I have to listen to what they say and how they act, and I have to formulate an opinion based on that, because I can't climb inside that person's body. I don't know that person well enough to really say definitively, yeah, this is why, this is it, this is why this person is doing this is why this person's doing that, and this is who this person really is. All I can do is go off the perception, and the perception is formulated by a person's words and actions. So deep down inside, do I really know what Anthony Joshua wants to do, what his career path is? If he's truly afraid of Deontay Wilder, if he's truly avoiding Deontay Wilder, I don't know that. But all I can do is look at the current series of events. I've been a huge critic of Deontay Wilder in the past. Not a fan of his resume, not a fan of the career path that he's taken to become the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. But all that gets thrown out the window, because Deontay Wilder in recent years has shown to me that by signing to fight Alexander Povetkin, which was a very tough fight, and volunteering to go over to Russia and defend his title in his opponent's backyard. By signing to fight Alexander Povetkin, by signing to fight Luis Ortiz, by telling people that he wants to unify the title, by calling out Anthony Joshua, by calling out Joseph Parker. The recent series of events, the recent actions of Deontay Wilder indicate to me and show me that this guy, he means business. He's looking to fight the best. He wants to unify these titles. And I believe him. I believe him. I think he realizes, you know what? The time is now. I'm 32 years old. I'm at the top of my game. I'm in my prime. If I wait any longer, I'm not going to be in my prime. And the clock could run out on me. So I got to make my move now. And I believe him. So all that prior criticism of Deontay Wilder that I had, all that is erased because of, his recent statements, his recent actions. He signed to fight two tough opponents, and through no fault of his own, those fights were not able to materialize. They did not come to fruition. They did not take place because of the actions of his opponents, not him. So I'm not going to criticize Deontay Wilder. I'm going to applaud the guy for taking charge of his career and saying to himself and to everyone else out there, I want big fights. I want to unify these titles. Now, Anthony Joshua, I'm a huge Anthony Joshua fan. Really, really big Anthony Joshua fan. I've been high on this guy for a long time. And I believe that he's the best heavyweight in the world right now. I mean, he's a unified titleist. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, who was a very respected champion, as we all know, 10 years undefeated. Lost to Tyson Fury, but we all know the current situation with Tyson Fury. I don't even know if Tyson Fury is ever going to come back. I seriously doubt that he will, given the current circumstances of his career right now. But with that being said, I got to look at Anthony Joshua, and I got to talk about the latest interview and what he said about, maybe I may not be ready for Deontay Wilder right now. I don't think, I'm paraphrasing, but, him saying that he wants to fight when he's ready for the fight basically indicates or implies that, I may not be ready for Deontay Wilder right now. And this is the thing, well, people who are huge Anthony Joshua fans, they're going to be saying, well, at least the guy's being honest, he has a right to pick and choose, he's the A-side, whatever. And if you want to believe that, that's all well and good. But this is the thing. We're all biased. We all have our favorite fighters. We all can make a case for our fighters who we admire a lot. But at the end of the day, we have to be somewhat objective here. And when our bias borders on ridiculousness, then I think objectivity has to take over. I mean, when it's blatantly obvious, what a situation is, and we try to gloss over that with our bias clouds that and tries to, change our judgment and let us not make a sensible argument. When we start making nonsensical arguments because of our bias, then we end up looking stupid. Sugar Ray Leonard has always been my favorite fighter, always will be my favorite fighter. But again, just because you admire someone, you like somebody, they're going to do things that you may not always agree with. Just certain things they do, certain situations that they're in, you just can't ride with them, So, in my opinion, Sugar Ray Leonard's legacy will always be cemented because of his victories over, Wilfred Benitez, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, and Marvin Hagler. So, because of those fights, I don't think anything could tarnish the guy's legacy. But at the end of the day, let's look at after he beat Marvin Hagler, the titles were fractured. Okay, the WBC was the only sanctioning body that sanctioned that fight. Okay, the IBF and the WBA were vacated, and at the time, Frank Tate, 1984 gold medalist, junior middleweight, he ended up picking up that vacant title, and he won it from he fought Michael Alajade to get that vacant IBF title, and then shortly thereafter, Michael Nunn knocked him out in 9 rounds. So after Ray Leonard beat Hagler, he was a WBC title, but Michael Nunn was considered the bad guy in that division. He was considered the best fighter in that division. He was young, 6'2", tall southpaw, and Ray Leonard had always had problem with southpaws. He don't like fighting southpaws, That's why that fight with Hagler was so close. So at the end of the day, after Ray Leonard beat Hagler, what does he do? He goes up and fights Donnie Lalonde and makes Donnie Lalonde come down to 168. And he ends up fighting Donnie Lalonde for the WBC 168-pound title, along with the WBC light heavyweight title. Now, at the time, huge Ray Leonard fan. The fight did intrigue me somewhat, but at the end of the day, I said to myself, you know what? I mean, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, Donnie Lalonde, 175-pounder, has to come down to 168, and he's putting 2 titles on the line, and Ray Leonard is going to fight this guy. Never had any fights at 168, never had any fights at 175, but yet he's fighting for 2 titles, and on top of that, he's making a guy have to drop, a significant amount of weight to fight him. And the fight was pretty competitive, but again, moving into the later rounds, Donnie Lalonde faded out because obviously the weight did affect him. So instead of fighting the top guy, after beating the lineal champ at middleweight, and then the titles become fractured, and then there's another young upstart in Michael Nunn, who was a killer. He was on a on a little knockout streak himself. He looked pretty indestructible at that point in time. Ray Leonard wanted no part of him. You know what I mean? He wanted no part of him, and I can't deny that. He went and fought another fight for 2 titles on the same night, and I had to call for what it is. It was it was kind of a circus show, if you really want to look at it. Like, the guy is put in a situation where he's able to fight for 2 titles, 2 weight classes that he's never campaigned in, against a guy, and you're making him defend his light heavyweight title at 168 pounds. So, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. The guy has to drop 7 pounds to fight you. And, you came back and you beat the lineal champion, and you moved up immediately after beating him. And not only that, I am a huge Ray Leonard fan, and I am biased towards Ray Leonard, but I can honestly say that fight with Hagler really could have gone either way. It was close enough. If you had an argument and you thought that Hagler won that fight, I can't really argue with you. The fight was that close. So even though Ray Leonard was my favorite fighter, and I have a bias towards Ray Leonard, if I look at the situation objectively, I know that fight with Donnie Lalonde really wasn't a significant fight, and really was kind of a circus type fight, or a show. I don't even want to use the word circus. It was a showcase type fight. So basically, Ray Leonard was fighting, not to be the best anymore, because he felt as though his legacy was cemented, and I agreed with that. He was fighting for the money, okay? And I understood that. After he beat Lalonde, he kind of went on a little seniors tour. So, if I use objectivity, I could see these things. So, this current situation with Anthony Joshua, people are unable to use objectivity in this situation. People are defending Anthony Joshua's statements. Okay, when you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you're supposed to be the baddest man on the planet. You're never supposed to tell anybody that you're not ready for them. Because again, perception is reality. And you're going to be judged upon how you carry yourself, things you say, things you do, choices you make. Because we're going to have to use those things to formulate an opinion. Perception is reality. That's all we have to go on. Because we're not sitting there inside Anthony Joshua's head when he goes to bed at night and he's going to sleep. What his last thoughts are before he falls asleep and what his first thoughts are when he wakes up. We don't know that. We're not psychiatrists. We don't know that. So the heavyweight champion is supposed to be the baddest man on the planet. And he's supposed to carry himself as the baddest man on the planet. He's supposed to believe that he could beat anybody. Muhammad Ali always said, no matter what, at the end of the fight, how the fight went, regardless of your performance, you put your hands up in the air and you look like the winner. Because why? Perception is reality. You show those judges, I'm the winner. Immediately when that final bell rings, you raise your hands. That round could have went either way. You raise your hands up. The other guy slumps and slumps away into his corner. You're looking like the winner. That guy's looking like the loser. You say to yourself, what does that mean? You still got to score the rounds, whatever. But again, you got to carry yourself like a winner. And when you're the champion, you got to carry yourself like a champion. And champions believe that they're the best at what they do. They're the best fighter in their division. All champions should believe that. Whether or not deep down inside they believe that, they should, put forth that perception to the public, because that's what you represent as a champion. You represent the best. You don't, sometimes in life, when you believe certain things inside, you have doubt. You cannot show that doubt to your opponent. That's perceived as weakness. So if you're telling somebody that you're not ready for them, you're already planting the seed of doubt in your own mind, and you're also planting the seed of confidence in their mind. So that guy, and when I say that guy, Deontay Wilder already seems to have the psychological edge over you. And the fight starts before the first bell rings. So right now he's already got a couple rounds in the bank because of what you're saying. You are planting the seed of doubt in your mind. And not only that, you have Eddie Hearn telling people that you could knock Deontay Wilder out in 3 rounds. He's saying that the fight could happen in early 2018, mid-2018. It's going to happen before the year's out. And then you're telling people, oh, this fight could happen 2019, 2020. This fight's going to happen when I'm ready. When I'm ready. Listen, you're a unified champion. I know you only have 19 fights. But people are already, telling you and saying to you that they believe you're the best heavyweight in the world. I believe that you are the best heavyweight in the world. Doesn't matter what I believe. If you don't believe it, it don't matter 2 shits what I believe. You got to believe it. So at the end of the day, I'm a huge Anthony Joshua fan. I'm a Deontay Wilder fan too. But I honestly believe, from just looking at the 2 guys, I think Anthony Joshua is a better fighter. I think he's a more skilled fighter. I think Deontay Wilder has freakish power, and that's the X factor in any fight. Could he knock out anybody? Possibly. But I also saw Anthony Joshua take huge shots against Dillian White. I almost saw Anthony Joshua almost get knocked out by Vladimir Klitschko when he got up and continued. So there's an intrigue factor there. Can I say unequivocally, without any shadow of a doubt, that Deontay Wilder has a harder right hand than Vladimir Klitschko? It's possible, but I'm not sure about that. I want to see what happens when Deontay Wilder lands that right hand against Anthony Joshua. But if Anthony Joshua is questioning that in his mind, well, I don't know if I can take this guy's power. Maybe I'm more skilled than him, but what if he lands that one big shot on me? It could be lights out. If he's thinking those things, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. He's got to believe he can win. And even if he can't believe he can win, he's got to convince himself that he can win. He's got to go out there and he's got to put it all on the line. He's got to defend his titles. And if Deontay Wilder is better than him, then so be it. He should wear the crown, not you. That's the way it is. And if you're going to push this fight off, and try to milk this fight, then it could end up being the same situation, with Pacquiao Mayweather. Maybe the fight won't be as good later as it could have been earlier. Who knows? Who knows? Because Deontay Wilder isn't getting any younger. Anthony Joshua does have the advantage of him being only 27 years old, 28 years old. He's in the middle of his prime. Deontay Wilder is probably at the peak right now. He's maybe on the downside. Not on the downside now, but he could be turning the corner shortly in a year or two. We don't know. So that's the thing. So you could be the biggest Anthony Joshua fan in the world, and you can be biased towards him. You could like him, and you could sit there and say, oh, at least he's telling the truth. But sometimes, you know what? Some things are better left unsaid.